Today is Tuesday, March 31st. This begins our 4th week of extreme social distancing, staying at home, working from home. Here's me and Abra. She hates being held. Oh, she wants, ow! She hurt me.
What's your favorite book on the shelf?
My favorite book on the bookshelf
Is Cunt out here?
is down at the bottom.
Cunt is down here. Oh, cool. There it is. There's Cunt.
Okay, here's one of my favorite books. It's called Hunger by Roxane Gay, and it is so good. I read it on the airplane, and I had to go hide in the bathroom and cry because it was so beautiful. This book is by my friend Emily. She signed it for me.
She's watching the series too.
It's called Future Sex, and it's an examination of kind of contemporary sexuality. Emily has a really great chapter on Burning Man, which was also published in I think the Paris Review.
I keep on wanting to read this, but then I balk because I get depressed enough as it is before the heart attacks. Little tidbits of information that might help you understand when you're dying, the moment that you're dying. Yeah. Final Cut is another, very much like Indecent Exposure, Art, Money, and Ego. This is the making of Heaven's Gate. That's how Cimino brought down United Artists, the studio, by making Heaven's Gate. Went wildly over budget at $68 million. It's laughable now. I love Raymond Chandler. I've never read Playback. I'll keep that on hand, actually. I used to love Michener, Oh my God. I've read a lot of Michener. I've never gotten through Texas, though, but I love Centennial. Hey, what's this? What's this here? Yeah, that's a good read, right? Chapter 3 especially. That's my favorite. The Fountainhead. Can't get through it, because I really just fucking hate her whole thing, and that seems like the whole mentality that's in play right now. What are your favorite books, Albert?
This book is so interesting. It's called Ozark Mountain Folk. These Were the Last. And it's a photo essay of pre-modern Arkansans. And this book was published in the 70s. So these are people that lived in a pre-modern way where I live now in Arkansas. Look at this guy. Oh, they're cooking sorghum here. They're making sorghum, which is like molasses.
Because it gives you sore gums.
Oh, yeah. But, it's interesting, these kind of narratives about the Ozarks. They built tourism here in the 70s kind of off of this kind of mystic idea about Ozarker culture. So for all I know, this could have been a piece of like boosterish propaganda. But I love the photographs because I like thinking about how rapidly things in Arkansas have changed. My scholarship is about the organization of the labor process in contract poultry production. And to do my dissertation, I spent 6 months working on a large broiler farm. Broilers are the chickens we eat for meat. We don't eat their eggs. I also interviewed a lot of farmers and different folks in the supply chain, and I did historical work in the archives at the University of Arkansas. So I kind of looked at, how did this mode of production come about, and what does it look like in the day-to-day, and how is it that actors in the supply chain, how is it that they make sense of, these dense, networks of material and networks of people and social relationships.
The first 3 years of my relationship with Elizabeth, she was writing her dissertation, which I can't recommend enough. Start a relationship off with someone who's in the midst of writing a college textbook. But it just would crack me up because we were living downtown and our desks were in the same space. It was a loft, and I'd be sitting there writing TV comedy, Bob walks in and trips over the dog, and she's a labor scholar and a Marxist, and so I just thought this comparison between our two bookcases was interesting. I have discovered that I'm better off doing dialogue longhand on a tablet, and then because the thought having to operate a machine like the computer, the focus of having to do that is, it's hard to, you know, let the creativity come out, you know. It was a good way to do it. I just got, you know, he gets so business about it and lazy that you don't want to do that extra step, so you just, let's just type it in here. I came to learn that there's no reason to make it perfect, man. Just get down your first pass, make sure that there's nothing glaring about it, because even if you made it perfect, they're gonna still give it notes, because that's their job, you know. So I got friends who have been working on the same first 30 pages of a screenplay for 25 years. It's like, why? If it ever sold and saw the light of day, it would metamorphose into something that I guarantee it, that you wouldn't recognize by the time it's done. It's just, that's how it fucking works.
This book is called Power Knowledge. It's a compilation of different interviews by Foucault. Gone too soon, much like Marx. But, you know, Foucault, and I think this is very relevant for the present moment, what he is arguing is that power and knowledge are the same thing. If hospitals are not counting COVID deaths as COVID deaths, then that gives them the knowledge. Then the control of the knowledge is power, and power is control of knowledge. So really, they're two sides of the same coin, and that in particular is a very modern phenomenon. It's not something that's characteristic of kind of pre-industrial societies. So it's kind of indicative of the diminished centrality of materialist thinking for understanding the organization of society. I think my husband is so fucking sexy.
I'm glad you think so.
So handsome.
I would never was cast as the
sexiest
leading man. I was always the best friend. I was always the wacky buddy of the guy who got the girl.